everyone, my name is Lisa. Welcome to my channel, bopeepknits. I started my knitting journey in January and completely fell in love with the world of knitting. I just couldn't wait to share my experiences, my challenges, and my progress as a beginner knitter. And I want to connect with other fellow knitters out there. If you hear any snoring or any dog-like sounds, that's Kaya, sweet Kaya. I did bribe her to be quiet, but we'll see if she sticks to her end of the deal. In this episode of my knitting diaries, I'm going to talk about my finished object, which is the Sophie hood. We'll also talk a little bit about some of the challenges that I faced while working on two of my whips, which are the step-by-step sweater and the petiteknit Alice top. And lastly, because your girl did a little bit of yarn shopping, I'll also share with you my yarn acquisitions. So this is my Sophie hood. I don't think I can fit it entirely in frame because it is a little bit long, but I'm just so happy to have this done. Words can't express how happy I am. I'm sure you've seen this pattern all over TikTok, all over Instagram, but just a little bit about it. The Sophie hood by petiteknit is a hood and a scarf in one. It's knit entirely in garter stitch, and there is some I-cord edging. And there are 3 sizes available. I knit the small just because I didn't want my hood to be too oversized. As a beginner, I found that knitting the Sophie hood wasn't too difficult just because I did work on the Sophie scarf prior to working on this project. If you want to know more about my experiences knitting the Sophie scarf, check out my last knitting diaries video. So the Sophie hood, you knit the whole entire thing in garter stitch and incorporate the I-cord edging as you continue to knit. And you form increases up until this part here at the neck. You put these stitches on hold and then you continue to knit the first side of the hood. So I didn't have any issues with this first side of the hood. The struggles began when I had to decrease stitches to form the second side of the hood. For whatever reason, I just could not get both sides of the hood to be symmetrical. I followed the pattern exactly. I didn't make any modifications, but this side just ended up being like 2 to 3 inches smaller. So there was a huge difference in size, and I'm not too sure what happened. So I just abandoned the pattern for this second hood portion and just decided to wing it. I just tried my best to match the number of stitches, but of course it's not perfect. You can see when I bring the hood closer that there is a little bit of wonkiness with the mattress stitch because the sides are not completely symmetrical. When worn, the mistakes aren't that noticeable, and I have actually received quite a few compliments from people that I know and also from strangers whenever I wear this scarf. People usually notice the color first. They always say that it's super cute, and they're often surprised to find out that this hood is hand knit. So I hope it's because I did a good job. The second struggle that I had with this project revolved around yarn weight and meterage. The pattern suggested various yarn weight yarns. I went ahead and used the Tweed Delight yarn from Hobbii. This is the color Pink Confetti. I really enjoyed working with this yarn. It's super soft. The colorful specks just are so adorable. They always bring a smile to my face, and that's what you need during the winter. So originally I ordered 3 skeins of this yarn. 1 skein equates to 50 grams or 100 meters. And I thought that would be enough, but it was not, just because I didn't know at the time. But just because a skein weighs the same amount as a recommended yarn in a pattern doesn't mean that the meterage is the same. So for example, one of the yarns that petiteknit used was 50 grams, but the meterage was actually 150 meters. and that is a lot more than this one. So total amount of the yarn that petiteknit would have used for a small Sophie hood would have been like 450 meters, but I only had 300 meters. So I ran out of yarn a little bit after forming the second side of the hood. And so I frantically had to order more. I ordered 2 more skeins, but I only ended up having to use 1 extra one. Unfortunately, because I did place 2 different orders, the yarn did come from 2 different dye lots. And so the yarn that I originally used was slightly cooler than the new yarn that I had, which was slightly warmer. I could tell the difference, but when worn, other people couldn't tell unless I asked them and like pointed out where the color difference was. But overall, I'm still very, very happy with my Sophie hood. I think despite the challenges, I did enjoy knitting it up, and I felt like I learned more and more about knitting as I continued with this project. If you hear Kaya snoozing, we took her to the park, so it's her nap time right now. For us, it's whip time. Let's chat about the 2 whips that I have on my needles. The first one being the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. It is an incredibly popular pattern amongst beginners. I've seen so many people knit the Step by Step sweater as their first garment. I admittedly was a little bit intimidated to start this project just because I wasn't sure if I was ready. Up until now, I've only knitted winter accessories, and so it's a little bit daunting. It's a little bit intimidating for sure. But I think that the Step by Step sweater is the perfect project as your very first sweater. I'm very happy with how things are going right now, but I didn't have the greatest start to this project. And that is because of the yarn choices that I made prior to picking the Hobbii Friends wool. My first attempt at the sweater was with another yarn from Hobbii. It's the Happy Sheep wool, and it is a single spun blown yarn, which was quite delicate to work with. It just was not cooperating with me. I really liked the color. I liked how soft it was, but it was quite hard to work with just because it would tear and I would have to be extremely gentle with it. I found that in order to build integrity in that yarn, I would have to hold it double, but I didn't have enough yarn to do that to knit this sweater, and so I just gave up and decided to move on from that yarn. I actually ended up selling the skeins that I didn't use, and I made a second attempt with a different yarn. My second attempt was with Drops Air. Super popular yarn. So many people use it without an issue. As soon as I saw this color at my local yarn store, I just had to snatch it up. Like 7 skeins in my cart immediately. I just couldn't resist. It is such an adorable color, and it's another soft blown yarn. So I thought perfect replacement for the other wool that I was working with. However, upon closer inspection, and I'm not going to zoom in to this yarn because I don't want to scare you guys. I'm not a yarn expert or anything like that, but I feel like it's the polyamide like tube. It's freaky. The tiny little holes that I think is the polyamide just freaks me out. I didn't notice it in store just because the lighting was, not the brightest. But when I was looking at this yarn in the daylight at home, the holes were just right there. And talking about it just gives me goosebumps. After I noticed the holes, that I can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. I can't use this yarn. It is such a beautiful color. I don't know what to do with this yarn now. Like, I cannot unsee the holes. Is there anyone else that has drama with Drops Air like I do? Like, please, anybody out there, if you have tryptophobia, let me know, because I can't with this, but it is so cute. So I have 7 skeins of this, and what am I gonna do? Like, knit blindfolded whenever I use this yarn, so I don't know. After all that drops air drama, I just decided to deviate from the blown yarns. Your girl can't do it anymore. So here is my progress thus far. I am chugging along. I decided to do the folded collar, and I skipped the German short row stuff. I didn't want to overwhelm myself because this is my very first garment, but so far so good. Oh no, it's looking a little bit small. Hopefully things will be okay. I'm knitting my right size though, and the fabric is a little bit dense, so hopefully it will soften up once I block it. But yes, so far so good. My next whip is the petiteknit Alice top. I decided to cast on a summer knit just because I wanted a cute summer top for my upcoming vacation to Vietnam and Singapore in May. So this is my progress thus far. I'm using the suggested yarn in petiteknit's pattern. It is the Sandnes Garn Tykk line or Tykk line. The composition is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. The size I'm knitting is a small. I'm a loose knitter, and the pattern calls for 5mm needles. So originally I started knitting this top with 4.5mm needles, and I was knitting a medium, but it just ended up huge. So that's why I'm just gonna listen to the pattern, and I don't think the gauge is too loose. It's curling up, so it's a little bit hard to see, but I don't think the gauge is too bad, strangely enough, so hopefully it ends up looking okay. As for my yarn acquisitions, I have 2 yarns to share with you. This one you may have seen in my previous Knitting Diaries video. It's from Sandnes Garn. It's the Tweed recycled in the color Magenta Tweed. I bought 4 skeins of this yarn at my local yarn store just because that was what they had left, and I wanted to knit a sweater with it. But I was waiting for it to come back in stock. It was out of stock for forever. I think it's still out of stock now. I managed to find this yarn at a different yarn store, and I bought 7 skeins of this. And I think luck was on my side that day because the 4 skeins that I bought previously and the 7 skeins that I bought at this different yarn store were from the same dye lot. Maybe I should have bought a lottery ticket that day. But regardless, I'm super excited to use this yarn. I finally have enough, hopefully, on my hands, and I plan to knit either the petiteknit Monday sweater or the sweater number 14 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. The second yarn that I got is from Sandnes Garn. Again, surprise, surprise. It is the Double Sunday Petite Knit edition in the color 5581. I think it was like called Sailor in the Night or something like that. I got 3 skeins of this. Each was $5.99 on sale. So I was super pleased to find this in the sale section at my local yarn store. It's a super dark navy color, almost black, but to me, I could tell that it was a dark navy blue. My plan with this yarn is to knit a beanie for my boyfriend. I found a free pattern on Ravelry by Lillian Musetta, I think. It is called the Fishbowl Hat, and my boyfriend loves fishing, so I thought that this pattern was perfect for him. So I'm going to use this yarn as the base, and I'm going to find another color to do the color work of the fishbowl pattern on that beanie. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to work on that project. So that's it for my second episode of bopeepknits Knitting Diaries. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you want to watch me struggle in the next Knitting Diaries episode, please make sure to subscribe so that you stay up to date with everything that I upload. It would really mean a lot to me. And yeah, until we see each other again, happy knitting. Bye.